What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another Freight Market Update with your host, Laura. All right, let's talk money. Thursday, October 9th, and if you've been watching freight rates like I have, you know something's been shifting this week. This is your 7-day heat check on the U.S. spot market. Van, reefer, flatbed. National trends plus what's actually happening in Florida and Texas, because let's be real. Those two states are where fortunes get made and where trucks go to die on dead backhauls. I'm keeping this tight. Facts only. If it doesn't make you money, it's not in here. No fluff about macroeconomic headwinds or whatever LinkedIn gurus are posting today. Let's go. Here's what changed this week in one sentence. Demand up, capacity tighter, rates nudging higher, and reefer is absolutely leading the charge right now. Look at these numbers. Loads are up across the board. Trucks, yeah, slightly up too, but not enough to kill the momentum. That means load-to-truck ratios are climbing. Van, reefer, flatbed, all three. Average line haul rates? Vans around $1.70 per mile, reefers at $2.05, flatbed $2.07. Now, I know some of you just rolled your eyes at van rates because, yeah, it's not 2021, but here's the thing, it's improving. We've had 4 straight weeks of this. Tender rejections tell the story. Reefer rejections are at 15 to 16%. That's healthy spot leverage, people. Vans still low at 4 to 5%, which means contract freight is still getting covered. But reefer drivers are saying, nah, I'm good, and go into the spot market. So what do? Push higher floors on reefers. Don't be shy. Hold the line on vans. Don't cave to lowball offers. And flatbeds, price confidently. We'll get into the why, but bottom line, this week favors the driver who knows their worth. Let me show you what momentum looks like. Loaded truck ratios over the last 7 days. Van, 6 to 7 loads per truck. Reefer, 11 to 13 loads per truck. Flatbed, 28 to 30 loads per truck. 4 straight weeks of these numbers climbing. Now, is this a capacity squeeze? No, let's not get carried away, but it's no longer a puddle either. We're seeing Q4 inventory movements, harvest season kicking in, and spot share creeping up. I talked to a driver last week who runs reefer out of Stockton. He said, man, my phone didn't ring for 3 months. Now I'm getting 5 calls before breakfast. That's the vibe right now. Here's your play. Chase rising metros where these ratios are tightening. But do not, and I mean do not chase bottom quartile backhauls unless you've got a guaranteed reload that pays. You know that game. You take a $1.20 run to get positioned, and then you're sitting for 2 days burning money on truck stops and Love's Chicken. Okay, drive van, let's be honest. Van is improving, but it's not ripping. Certain pockets are tightening up. California, specifically Stockton, and Chicago. Rates in those nodes are climbing, but rejections are still only 4 to 5%, which tells you most contract freight is still getting picked up. The spot lift is modest, and Florida outbound, still soft. We'll get into Florida in a minute, but just know it's still a get-me-out-of-here situation. Here's the play on van right now. If you're in California or Chicago, bid firm. Don't fold. I'm talking minimum $1.70, ideally $1.85 plus with fuel. If you're heading to Florida, plan multi-stop consolidations or bundle loads. And please do not take a $1.30 per mile bait offer just because you think it'll unlock a premium reload. I've watched guys fall into that trap for years. There's a driver I know, been running 15 years, took a $1.25 van load from Atlanta to Tampa last month thinking he'd get a great backhaul. Sat in Tampa for 4 days, ended up deadheading to Charlotte at his own cost. Don't be that guy. Reefer is the tip of the spear. This is where the money is right now. Pacific Northwest harvests are moving. Southeast holiday food distribution is ramping up. Mexican produce coming through the border crossings, it's all hitting at once. Rejections at 15 to 16%, that's real spot leverage. Drivers are turning down freight because they can get better offers. South Texas border corridor, McAllen, Laredo, Nogales, it's tightening fast. I'm hearing wait times at the crossings, inspection delays, and capacity is just not keeping up with demand. I was talking to a reefer guy last week who runs the Nogales to LA lane. He said, I quoted $3.20 a mile, expecting them to negotiate. They said yes in 30 seconds. That's the market right now. Your play? Prioritize reefers into the Pacific Northwest and South Texas. Set strict detention clauses. I'm talking $75 to $100 per hour after the first 2 hours. And pre-book your next load 48 to 72 hours out because this stuff moves fast. If you're sitting around waiting for loads to appear on the board day of, you're leaving money on the table. Flatbed stays firm. Construction activity, data center bills, the phone keeps ringing. Load to truck ratio around 30 to 1. Rates are steady to slightly up. And here's the kicker. We're above last year's rates. That doesn't happen by accident. Texas border and Florida are showing localized rate bumps. Laredo to Houston, we're seeing near $3 per mile in some lanes. Miami outbound flatbed, actually firmer than van or reefer right now. Here's the thing with flatbed. You've got leverage, but you've also got to know when to push. High urgency industrial loads, quote confidently. Add accessorials for tarping, securing, delays, whatever it takes. But avoid Florida dead ends without a priced-in reposition cost. I know a flatbed driver who took a great rate into Jacksonville, $2.80 per mile, and then realized getting out was going to cost him $500 in deadhead. Ended up net negative for the week. Price the full cycle, not just the inbound. Florida. Oh, Florida. Land of sunshine, beaches, and freight that nobody wants to haul out of. Let me be blunt. Florida is still a get-me-out state. You need to price the exit. Van outbound, weak. Reefer, shoulder season. Limited demand until later fall imports kick in. Flatbed, pockets of construction demand, but it's lane selective. Here's how you survive Florida. Stack loads to Georgia or South Carolina. Lock your reload before you accept the inbound. Add accessorials to cover likely deadhead. Negotiate bundles. Multi-stop consolidations. I talked to a dispatcher last week who said, we just stopped accepting Florida loads unless we've got a customer commitment for the backhaul. Smart. Look, Florida freight pays on the way in. Don't let that cloud your judgment. The trip only makes sense if the round trip pencils out. South Texas, money in motion, but time is the tax. Reefer and flatbed, capacity is tight down there. Border crossings, produce inspections, general friction, it all creates delays. But those delays also create opportunities for drivers who know how to navigate it. Van stable to slightly firmer, especially when tied to border-driven freight. Key lanes, McAllen to LA reefer is climbing. Laredo to Houston flatbed, around $3 per mile. DFW hub freight, stay steady. I know a driver who runs the Laredo loop. He told me, I built in 6 hours of buffer at the crossing, hard enforced detention, and I make $8,000 to $10,000 a week. That's the game. You've got to plan for the chaos. Pre-book 24 to 48 hours out, buffer your schedule for border wait times, hard enforced detention, and TONU clauses. If a broker says, we don't pay detention, you say, cool, I'll take the next load. Someone else will pay. All right, this one's important. English proficiency enforcement is real and it's costing drivers time and money. If English is shaky, some states will sideline you. Thousands of drivers have been placed out of service since summer. The strictest states, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, Oregon, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, very high OSS percentages. Border states have written a ton of violations too, though. Texas OSS percentage was lower, but rising. All right, let's wrap this up. What do we do with all this information? Van, focus California and Chicago. Tie Florida exits to guaranteed reloads. Set minimum floors plus fuel escalators. Don't fold on price. Reefer, chase Pacific Northwest and South Texas. Book 2 deep, meaning have your next load lined up. Surge pricing on weekend and holiday perishables because everyone's desperate on Friday afternoon. Flatbed, prioritize Texas and Florida construction, border lanes. Quote premium and enforce accessorials. You've got the leverage, use it. Watch your KPIs. Load to truck ratios by market. Tender rejections van versus reefer. DAT spot index. Border wait times. Fuel costs. And remember this. Rates don't rise because we hope. They rise because we say no to trash freight and yes to timing. That's your 7-day heat check. If you found this useful, hit the like button, follow our channel at Keynnect Logistics, and I'll see you next week. Stay profitable out there.